The option of putting it on a ballot right now would be very premature because we have no information. Because we haven't looked at or considered other alternatives, what could you fashion for a ballot? You don't have any basis for comparison. Fullerton is known as the education community, and one thing we can't be afraid of in this internet era is information. Even if you're out shopping for a car, this example that's been used, sometimes you receive a quote. That doesn't mean you're forced to buy at that moment. Sometimes you're just kicking tires and making comparisons and basically getting a feel for where you're at, where you rate among other cities in some of these costs. In California, if people have been paying attention, older, full-service, and larger cities are in trouble. They're in trouble financially because of structural financial issues that take years to culminate in going over the cliff. I'm sure that morale was high, service levels were high, and everyone was very happy with the situation in the cities of Vallejo and Stockton and San Bernardino, right up to the point where they couldn't pay the bills any longer. One of the problems when I first was elected to this council about a year and a half ago, we went through the collective bargaining process in closed session. We approved a new budget. In both cases, I complained that we were just at the surface level, that we weren't plumbing beneath the surface. And it's important that we do this because structurally, if we have costs growing at a 9% level or 10% per year level and our revenues are likely to grow at 1 or 2%, it doesn't take very many years of compounding to create a major problem in that regard. So the council, in my opinion, needs to move fairly quickly to get a handle on some of this structural gap that we have in our current budget. The question is, does the council have the right and perhaps the duty to consider these alternatives? It's been stated here tonight that it would be a disgrace to even consider this. It's a disgrace to go bankrupt as a municipality. I'm not suggesting we're there yet. I wouldn't try to use fear to motivate people on this. However, good financial practice is to start looking at things in multi-year strata on a going forward basis, and that's one other issue is here, if anything, the information that we've received internally has not been comprehensive enough. That's partly why we're going outside for a study. And the underfunding of pensions should be of concern to everybody who expects to receive pension payments. The other side of it, retiree medical costs as a result of lowering the retirement age, are growing even faster. These are items that city governments have to shoulder. We have very few avenues for funding these going forward if they're growing that rapidly. So most of the people, I mean, at one time in Fullerton's history, we were known for ostriches. There were a great many ostriches here. But the idea of sticking our head underground on this and not looking at the greater picture, the larger picture in California, these pension gaps that are being created, I think would be irresponsible. Former council member Flory herself voted against the 3 at 50 pension increase back when. She came to the County of Orange and testified against the 2.7 at 55 increase. At that time, she understood these structural issues that I'm referring to now. So the only other alternative would be to increase municipal taxes and fees by quite large amounts going forward. Now, could we fend this off until I leave the council? Probably, but that's what other councils have done. They've kicked the can down the road. There's another item we're not going to get to tonight, which the city engineer has provided, where he encapsulates deficiencies, in other words, underinvestments in city infrastructure. One is streets, where he's identified a deficiency of $160 million. Water infrastructure backlog, $60 million. Sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, $16 million deficiency. Alleys, $5.5 million. Other costs that really haven't been identified that closely yet. That's $241.5 million in backlog just to get us up to where we need to be infrastructure-wise. That's 3 years of an operating budget for this city. So if this council or the next council or the one after that doesn't begin to get these things in balance, then we have some really big issues that we're looking at down the road. So it's one thing to say cost is no object, and I like what we have and I want to stay with it. But if you don't pay attention to those costs and maintain your wherewithal to meet those requirements, you lose control. Talk about losing local control over a police department. You lose complete local control over the municipality, the city of Fullerton that we have. So my goal is to gather information, not be afraid of it, use that information constructively, and yes, any possible change would probably be sometime from now. But I would suggest to you that fear of information is not a good place for this city of Fullerton to be. Thank you.